You think she destroyed you. You think she used you, manipulated you, played with your heart, your time, your dreams, and maybe she did. But here's the truth. You're not ready to hear. She wasn't the enemy. Your lust was. She didn't drag you into chaos, you walked into it, smiling, following the scent of desire you never questioned. You let your hunger blind your logic. You let attraction override your discipline. You saw red flags and painted them white. And now you're here, broken, angry, vengeful. Not because she had power, but because you gave yours away without even realizing it. The modern man doesn't fall because of war. He doesn't fall because of pain. He doesn't even fall because of failure. He falls because he's weak in the face of beauty. He crumbles under curves. He loses himself in the eyes of someone he doesn't even know. He confuses validation with love. He trades legacy for lust. And when the illusion shatters, he calls her the villain, when in truth he never mastered himself enough to deserve her in the first place. You're not broken because you loved. You're broken because you never understood what was driving you. You never saw how desperate you were to be seen, touched, wanted. You confused chemistry with connection. You thought pleasure was the same as purpose. But now you're starting to wake up. Now you're realizing that everything you blamed on her was rooted in your inability to control the fire inside you. The fire that should have built an empire, but instead burned down your boundaries, your focus, your pride. She's not your downfall. Your lust is. Lust isn't just sexual desire. Lust is the craving to escape yourself. It's the hunger to be filled by something, someone, because you're too afraid to face the emptiness inside. Lust makes you abandon your standards, your mission, your identity. It promises fulfillment and leaves you starving. It tells you she's the answer, but never lets you ask the right questions. It tells you to chase, to impress, to bend, to break, just for a taste of significance. And then it watches you drown in shame when it's over. You weren't a warrior in that relationship. You were a beggar, begging for attention, begging for touch, begging for her to complete something inside you that was never her responsibility. You gave her the power to validate you, and then cursed her when she stopped. You called it betrayal, but it was dependency. You called it heartbreak, but it was obsession. You called it love, but it was lust. The moment you needed her more than you needed your purpose, you lost. The moment you made her the source of your worth, you handed your masculinity to someone who didn't ask for it. That's not her fault. That's your lesson. And it's a brutal one, because it forces you to look in the mirror and ask, what am I building? Who am I becoming? And why do I keep chasing pleasure when I was born to build legacy? Let go of the fantasy. Let go of the illusion that she was the one. She was just a mirror, a reflection of how far you had drifted from your power. She didn't break you. She revealed you. She showed you the parts of yourself you refused to confront. The lack of control, the emotional neediness, the absence of inner structure, the dependency masked as love. This isn't about hating her. It's about reclaiming you. It's about standing up, looking that broken part of yourself in the eye, and saying, never again. Never again will I let lust hijack my life. Never again will I chase what doesn't align with my purpose. Never again will I give power to someone before I've mastered it within. Because here's the truth. Most men never hear. What you chase controls you. What you can't walk away from owns you. And if you can't walk away from her, it's not because she's your soulmate. It's because you haven't faced the void inside that keeps you crawling back to anything that gives you a fleeting high.
You think you miss her, but what you really miss is the way she made you forget how lost you are. You miss the distraction. You miss the dopamine. You miss the illusion that you were complete when she was next to you. But deep down, you know the truth: she didn't complete you. She covered your wounds. And now that she's gone, the pain you were hiding from is back, louder than ever, demanding to be faced. That pain is not her fault. That pain is your opportunity. Because every time lust fades, what's left is who you really are.
And who are you when no one's touching you? Who are you when no one's validating you? Who are you when there's no fantasy to chase, no body to idolize, no eyes looking at you like you matter? That's the real test. That's the battlefield where your future is either forged or forfeited. You either confront the void inside and build strength from it, or you run back into another illusion, hoping someone else will numb you again. But every time you run, you get weaker. Every time you chase lust, you lose power, because the chase turns you into prey. This world doesn't need more men chasing. It needs more men becoming focused, becoming grounded, becoming self-possessed. Men who look at their urges and say, "You don't own me." Men who feel the pull of desire and choose direction instead. Men who use the fire not to burn their lives down chasing women, but to build something so powerful that women want to follow them. That kind of man is rare. That kind of man is dangerous. Not because he denies desire, but because he controls it. Your lust doesn't want you to be that man. Lust wants you weak. Lust wants you impulsive. Lust wants you broke, distracted, addicted to attention, willing to trade your future for a few seconds of stimulation. Lust is a trap disguised as freedom. It tells you to be a man, to go get her, to win her over, to prove your worth. But the moment you start proving, you've already lost. The moment you chase, you've already submitted. And submission to lust is the death of self-respect. Real masculinity is not loud, it's not desperate. It doesn't chase, it attracts. It stands still while the world moves around it. It builds, it waits, it guards its energy like gold. Because it knows this: not everything beautiful is good. Not everything seductive is sacred. Not everything you want is worth having. Especially when what you want is rooted in emptiness. Especially when the price of indulging is your time, your mind, your soul.
She's not your savior. She's not your answer. She's not your enemy. She's just a test, a reflection, a moment of choice. And every time you make the wrong one, you drift further from your center. You weaken your spirit. You dilute your power. You become easy to control. That's what society wants. A generation of men ruled by urges, addicted to novelty, slaves to the flesh. Men who can be manipulated through beauty, advertisement, instant gratification.
But you weren't built for that. You were built for dominion. You were built to conquer not others, but yourself. You were built to endure, to channel, to lead. But leadership starts within. Dominion starts at the gate of your own lust. And if you can't win there, you'll lose everywhere else. You'll sabotage relationships, destroy your focus, doubt your worth, and resent the very things you once begged for. You must rise. not as a cold man, not as a bitter man, but as a man who's mastered his flame. The one who can walk away not because he doesn't feel, but because he's trained not to bow to every feeling. The one who can say no, not because he hates her, but because he loves his mission more. The one who stays centered while the world tempts him to drift. That's power. Not loud, not angry, not reactive. Quiet, steady, dangerous. The kind of power that makes women respect you. The kind of power that makes men follow you. The kind of power that can't be bought or broken by a pretty face or a tempting offer. You weren't born to chase women. You were born to create kingdoms, to build legacies, to forge inner discipline that outlasts temptation. But somewhere along the way, you forgot. You got hijacked by your own biology, by your own craving to be wanted. And now you live in a world that feeds that weakness, scroll after scroll, image after image, body after body, training you like a dog to salivate every time you see flesh. But a man who can't break free from that cycle will never be free at all. He will remain a prisoner, not of her, but of himself. Freedom doesn't come from indulging. It comes from restraint. It comes from saying no when your entire nervous system is screaming yes. It comes from seeing beauty and honoring it without needing to consume it. It comes from developing eyes that can recognize truth, not just curves. The more you look with lust, the less you see. And the less you see, the more you suffer. Because now you're living in illusion. And illusions are soft cages. They feel good until you realize you've lost your edge, your clarity, your purpose. You don't just give in to lust, you give up your edge. That sharpness that defines a dangerous man. That calm presence. That unbreakable focus. Lust softens you. It makes you emotional, needy, impulsive. It makes you forget who you are. It turns kings into clowns, leaders into addicts, warriors into chasers. And the worst part, you think it's love. You tell yourself this time is different, but it never is, because it's not her that's different. It's you who hasn't changed. You're still giving in to the same impulses, telling yourself new stories to justify old patterns. You don't need another woman. You need to rebuild your temple. You need solitude, silence, structure. You need to sit with the urges, the triggers, the emotional waves, and dominate them. You need to go to war with the part of you that wants quick relief instead of long-term greatness. That wants to feel desired instead of becoming undeniable. You need to stop outsourcing your worth and start embodying it. Stop needing her to make you feel like a man. Be one. Quietly. Without fanfare. Without performance. Without lust as your driver. Stop flirting with destruction and calling it love. Stop idolizing feminine energy while neglecting your own masculine foundation. Build that first. Then choose, not from hunger, but from fullness. Because when you're full, you see clearly. You're not tricked by beauty. You're not swayed by charm. You don't fall for games. You watch, you weigh, you assess, you choose from a place of peace. Not panic. You lead, not chase. You attract, not beg. You stand. Even when everything in you wants to collapse into comfort. And that makes you powerful. Rare. Untouchable. She's not the enemy. She never was. The enemy is the part of you that still believes your worth is tied to how wanted you are. The enemy is the part of you that confuses being desired with being valuable. The enemy is the part of you that seeks approval from bodies instead of building substance in silence. You want to rise? Then kill that part. Every day, not with shame, but with strategy. Redirect that fire. Lift. Work. Create. Bleed into your purpose. Sweat into your craft. Channel the sexual energy into something that multiplies, not something that steals. Sublimate. Transmute. Become. Not to impress her, but to impress your future self. Because one day you'll look back and realize it was never about her. It was about your discipline, your sovereignty, your ability to say, I see you, I admire you, but I don't need you. That is freedom, that is power. That is what lust will never give you, and what self-mastery always will. You were told that to be a man meant to chase, to conquer, to prove yourself through how many women you could attract. But the deeper truth is this: the more you need to chase, the more it reveals how little you've built within. Real power doesn't chase, it chooses. Real power doesn't seduce, it commands, not through words, but through presence. And that presence is forged in the fire of self-denial, in the quiet hours when you choose purpose over pleasure, restraint over reaction, legacy over lust. Every time you say no to an urge, you reclaim territory within yourself. Every time you walk away from temptation, you reinforce your throne. That is how you build masculine gravity, the kind that draws people in without trying, the kind that makes women look twice without you saying a word. Not because of your looks or charm, but because of your energy. Because you're not scattered, you're not hungry, you're not leaking power through every glance, every comment, every attempt to be seen. You are contained, focused, composed, and that stillness, it intimidates. Because in a world addicted to attention, a man who doesn't crave it is a threat. A man who doesn't flinch when beauty walks by, who doesn't react when others try to pull him off. Of course, that's a man who cannot be moved. And that, ironically, is the man who attracts everything most men are chasing. You don't need to eliminate desire. You need to master it. You don't need to become emotionless. You need to become emotionally intelligent. You don't need to run from beauty. You need to see it and not kneel to it. That's what makes you noble. That's what makes you a king, not your ability to seduce, but your ability to lead yourself when no one is watching. The war is within, always has been. Lust is just one of its foot soldiers. Its mission is simple: distract you from the higher calling, drain your drive, steal your time, make you question your worth. And it does it with whispers, not weapons. It tells you she's different, that you deserve this one, that it's harmless, that you can handle it, but you always wake up emptier than before. Because you weren't meant to consume beauty like candy. You were meant to build something beautiful from within. So build a life so solid, so meaningful, so aligned, that you no longer need to chase meaning in someone else's arms. Build a code that you don't break, even when no one is watching. Build a discipline that holds when emotions surge. Build a mission so magnetic that the right people don't just admire you, they follow you. Not because you begged, but because you embodied. This is the quiet evolution, the silent rise, the unseen transformation, the death of the boy who begged to be loved, and the birth of the man who gives love without losing himself. She's not the enemy. She's the lesson, the mirror, the moment you either wake up or sink deeper. And the sooner you stop blaming her, the sooner you reclaim the pieces of yourself you gave away too easily. There's power in celibacy. There's clarity in restraint. There's purpose in redirection. You don't need to be a monk to walk with sacred energy. You just need to stop being a slave to lust, to loneliness, to low standards. Stop handing your kingdom to anyone who knocks on the gate with a pretty smile and the promise of momentary bliss. You are more than your cravings, more than your urges, more than your need to be desired. You are fire. You are focus. You are foundation. And every time you choose control over chaos, you forge another layer of steel within your soul. That's how legends are born, not in moments of indulgence, but in decades of discipline. There will come a day when someone walks into your life who embodies everything you once thought you needed to chase. She will be stunning, magnetic, powerful, but this time, you won't flinch. You won't shrink. You won't be pulled out of alignment by a flash of beauty or a surge of emotion. You will feel the pull, but you will not be pulled. Because by then, you will have become the man who doesn't seek permission to feel worthy. You will have built yourself from the inside out, quietly, patiently, unshakably. And when she comes, you will not impress her with charm. You will not entertain her with games. You will simply be present, focused, whole, and in that stillness, she will feel something different, something rare. Not a man who wants her to complete him, but a man who invites her to join him on a path that's already in motion. That's the kind of man women want to follow, not because he begs, but because he leads. Not because he needs her, but because he values her without surrendering his throne. This is your path now, not away from women, but toward yourself, toward clarity, toward command, toward the kind of inner gravity that changes rooms. Not because you speak, but because your energy says everything. You don't have to become cold to be powerful. You have to become centered. You have to learn how to feel without folding, how to want without needing, how to love without losing your edge. Stop asking if she'll come back. Stop asking if she ever cared. Those questions belong to the version of you that depended on her for identity. That version is gone now. You buried him, and in his place stands a man who walks alone, not in loneliness, but in purpose. A man who no longer negotiates with his lower self. A man who protects his focus like it's sacred, because he knows it is. Let the world wonder what changed. Let them question the silence. Let them feel the shift in how you carry yourself. You don't need to announce your evolution. Your presence will speak for you. Your absence from the games, from the noise, from the endless craving for attention that is your power now. And to the part of you that still aches, let it. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is the price of awakening. Let it sharpen you. Let it clean you. Let it teach you what comfort never could. Because on the other side of that pain is a version of you that no longer chases women, success, or peace. Because he already is peace. He already is success. And when the right woman arrives, she will not be the reward. She will be the reflection of the strength you earned, the battles you fought, the kingdom you built. She's not the enemy. Your lust was, and now that you've killed it, there's nothing left to fear. Go build, go lead, go become.